Hello, welcome to day 224. Today we're back at Stardew. Ah, weather report. Back in Stardew because I would like to play more Stardew and to not give you all a boring episode. We're going to be talking more about D&D because, well, we love D&D here. And why not? Don't know why Ricky's done this to the farm, but whatever, I'll fix it for him. Anyhow, so we're going to talk a bit about my campaign today and where I'm going to go with it. Shit. So, my campaign, if you all have seen the previous episodes of Stardew, I think I've said some things about it. It started off as a survival simulator in D&D, and then evolved into an adventure academy, and now it's this is spoilers for Ricky and Curtis, who are sometimes watching these. It is going to take another turn into an adventuring arc on the high seas and in different lands, all being kind of governed in a different way. And I've kind of done this because, well, much to similarities to everybody in my friend group, I can't make my mind up on what I want to do. There we go. But yeah, so they're gonna be taking a bit of an adventure. I've had a bit of a hard time determining how I'm going to uh, give them a bit of more of a challenge, and also how to kind of encourage we need to go on the high seas and explore things. And I think they've met the big evil. His name is Dredge. He's made specialized creatures that can cast spells due to amalgamation, the way that he's kind of partially combined a humanoid soul into into a creature. It can be many other creatures with the ability to cast powers. It's very similar to a druid, but not at all the same. And so I've gone back into a bit of it. I don't want to spoil too much, but it now makes sense in the subtle ties that I've done for Ricky and Curtis to they are the ones who have actually been like lore fiends. So with their kind of better understanding of D&D lore, I have figured out what I want to do with Dredge to make him more challenging, I guess would be the right word, of a adversary. Since he is a lich and he's lived several hundreds of thousands of years, he's garnered some power. I'm thinking of actually throwing in some ties to Vecna and Red Wizard to Thay. maybe a couple other things as I start learning more and more about the lore, because there's, for what he's doing, it seems like it'd be very interesting for quite a few of the pantheons, at least of the evil pantheons, and of notable uh, people in D&D that would be able to access a plane of existence without, you know, drawing too much attention. So, the idea that I have currently is they are going to start. Um, ooh, that's a boy. There we go. Is to start a bit of a quest. Oh boy, fuck me. More things in the caverns. Come on, you little shits. Oh. Alright. So currently they're going to go rob allies of his in my campaign. I can finally talk again after getting done with that little fight, and I hear another one coming on. Come here, you bat. Alright, so bats are a little bit easier. What I'm planning to do is after they collected the material that they want to gather from attacking his allies, because there's a very specific machine that seems to keep what are called dredge beast, or at least that's what they called them in my player group, and what I've told them to call them. The dredged beast are, again, they are what he has made to essentially have more dangerous creatures to come and attack. There's a little bit more in, maybe after this episode comes out, I can get Curtis and Ricky to come help me gather my thoughts a little bit better on the subject of what's going on actually in my campaign. But yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but sort of simplistic in the idea. I think there's might be some creatures in D&D. Anyhow, enough about that. They want to get something that keeps away these creatures that seem to be actual national problems. Because there are quite a lot of them in the part of the world where they are, and the part of the world they are in is a small portion of where the world is taking place. I'm remembering now that I did actually. So many little tiny things. There we go. No door. But yes, I'm planning to have a little bit of a thing like, hey, there's a progress report for the western portion. I'm not going to call it the western continent. I'm going to call it the western world. Meaning that they're going to have to go on a bit of a... Damn it. This... Enemies are just everywhere here today. But yeah, the idea is that I get them more intrigued in the rest of the world, and considering that they have very little information to go on how to find Dredge, I'm kind of hoping that they might take the bait and go, okay, we need to go exploring to find him. There's less of a way to draw him to us, which I suppose I should prepare for if they're going to try to do that. I'm rambling on a thing I don't think people are really going to give a shit about. And I could be totally wrong, and people do actually, you know, kind of find it intriguing. However, saying all this shit aloud, I don't actually think people would find intriguing. But if you are intrigued at all, these portions of the world used to be better connected rather than like guesswork at navigating high seas or the threat of pirates or other things. It used to be a much bigger continent that used to be a lot more land, crops, and everything else that fell into disarray after Dredge's big spell he tried to cast, which did create a massive amount of Dredge Beast. Alright, leave the mine so we don't fall asleep. But yeah, he cast a spell that, due to the size, and it was a 12th level spell, it changed the entire D of the world, and the repercussion of casting a spell that big was he took a dip in levels, and he also took a dip from the world about how many. What would be the correct wording here? He basically sunk a mega continent, which is just a real fancy way of saying, yeah, homeboy, like, broke part of the world. Why did he do that? Because it was a more selfish desire of he could do a better job of ruling the world and of creating things. And oh, I might have to end the video a little early purely because I don't think that they're going to. Yeah, I'm going to end the video after today, which is a bit of a oddity, I guess. Do I have anything else in here? Might have enough for a bar. Damn it. But yeah, he basically screwed his entire world by casting the spell and himself. Which is another reason he is a lich now. Yeah, he's a lich. And this spell that he cast was part of a much grander plan. It was part of a much grander plan for him. He did so many things in such a small amount of time. And maybe I should go into that a little bit. Number one, he became a lich. Two, he made a deal with several people outside of his own dimension, back when that used to be a little bit more common, of like dimensional travel, because D&D you can traverse between worlds and a whole bunch of other things, and also magic was a lot more readable, common, and how better, relatively more common and easier to learn. There were entire mage schools that used to be around, and that's kind of a way I'm limiting Curtis on a few things, because he too good at D&D. Him and Ricky. Oh, it's yeah, that. Ah. Oh, yes, he made some deals, including with the Wizards of Thay and Vecna for a few things. Uh, but most importantly, when he cast a spell, he knew he was going to screw the world a bit. And by that I mean, like, he, in one of the many um in one of the many things he did in preparation, was to direct the spell's repercussions at the world rather than himself, which worked for a little bit, at the effect of pissing off Mistra, because he fucked with how high level spells he was casting has a mortal, well, lich. So, Mistra don't like spells going above ninth. That's why traditionally the highest tier you can cast is ninth level spells. So yeah, he pissed off Mistra by doing that, and did get the repercussions aimed at the world, causing the supercontinent to shatter, is the best way of putting it, and crumble into the sea, creating massive oceans and dividing people into like a whole bunch of things. And portion of the world, and really egged on by him, were egged on by him, he created a bit of a world order to try and limit people's learning of magic. So anytime people would advance to a level that would pique his interest, he would inevitably come to them, and if they didn't want to play ball with him, he would just get rid of them. So he's got a lot of mages in his pocket, including mages in countries. I might go back on a thing and say, no, there's one place where magic is like still learned, and I might make that where he's held up secretly, and they're gonna have to go find what clone of that him, where it is, and what he's doing. But anyhow, let's see. Kane Lich around the same time cast that spell. Oh, because he was well known as a mage, and further portions of the continent he could kind of deviate. Like, hey, I'm gonna push my story into this light here and do this here. But whenever he did that spell in like one of the nearby not kingdoms, but what would it be? It wouldn't be a kingdom. That's for jarls. Nobles, whatever. Faction of a noble thing. He divided two noble houses that were originally good friends into kind of little bit of a bitter rivalry for the better part of. Okay. Let's get rid of that. We got more help. Really should be cleaning my inventory, but oh well. Actually, that's what I'm going to go do. Anyhow. So let's see. After driving a wedge between two problematic nobles that would have found him out a lot easier, he then sowed the seeds of dissent and also a bit of hero worship to himself that a church now like supports him. So yes, that's the place that they're going to go run. I have to think about what I'm talking about because I don't have topics, but I do have an actual lore thing that I can expound to here. So, Ricky and Curtis probably not going to be able to watch this video. And maybe Jackson if he... Because Jackson, I do suppose I would like to explain this. We have a friend who plays D&D with us whose name is Jackson. He's been a bit busy. I'm not going to say any personal things about him, actually. And, you know, he's been going through a bit of a rough patch, is what I'll say. And he's finally gotten good news after having a pretty rough patch. Oh, 5 ore pieces, damn. But anyhow, he is an on and off again player with me, Ricky, and Curtis. So he might not be able to watch this video until after said time. Oh, yeah, that's another thing I can kind of say. Jackson will actually be joining us for a video, hopefully, soon to the 26th. Yeah, it's Helldivers again. Understandably, some people on YouTube think it's very saturated. However, it's a pretty big deal for a game because it's the first time that like a game owned by Sony who's like opened the doors to everybody, which is pretty cool. So hopefully very soon to the launch day of Helldivers, we'll be able to have a bit of a episode with Jackson and wait, what? Okay. For mm, I'm gonna do that because I find. Yep. Okay. Cool. What else can I say? Okay, so we went over Dredge and, well, less of his ideas. I don't want to spoil too much of what his ideas are, but I can say more about where he has his hands into. Some of that's been kind of guessed at by Curtis and Ricky, and it's loosely been confirmed at this point in time. Because if you don't know, Ricky and Curtis, another side tangent they have done in the campaign, is sort of like a little bit of a direct correlation of actually being in the campaign and something to do with the story, but not totally. They've gone off and refound it, is the better term, to they've refound it, the original country that the countries around, at least for the human portion, and the dwarves and drow. The dwarves and drow have got a very interesting thing. A lot can happen when you go into the apocalypse, and I kind of like that. So I've been playing with some ideas. One, the dwarves and drow have kind of made up. And what I mean by that is there are cults to Loth in the Drow kingdoms. However, due to a lot of the kingdoms that were underground got broken apart and crushed, and the remaining Drow that were on top were mainly worshippers. I forget her name, but I know she's cool. Of the Drow moon goddess. That is one of the ones that have remained. And while there are cults to Loth, again, it's not entirely the main focus. It's been, what's the best way to put it? It's been made taboo to worship Loth. There are cults and they do cause problems for everybody now and again, but for the most part, they are not the main portion. But since I am ending this video early, so Rick and Curtis don't miss a game event, leave you off with a fun fact for you. It is a bit of a fun fact. The fat dragon in D&D the movie is an actual real character, and it's hilarious. I forget the dragon's name, but that is a real canon character in D&D. That fat, pudgy dragon. Anyhow, hope you all enjoyed. Bye!